Hi guys, this is Crystal from Glittery Crystals. This cup is what we will be doing in this video. I had so much fun making this cup. I love how vibrant the colors turned out to be, and I know that you will enjoy watching this video. Okay, so I have already my tumbler prepped and spray painted. I actually sanded it, washed it, and did 3 thin coats of spray paint. That way I avoided getting any drips, and that is mandatory with this cup. You don't want any drips or any bumps with the spray paint. So once I had it prepped, in the meantime, I actually printed my water slide. I used a clear water slide. I printed it with my inkjet printer. So once I printed my image, I let it, I put it on the table and I sealed it with the crystal clear enamel. You will see it in a minute. Once that thin layer was fully dried, I actually added some spray, white spray in the image. And as you can see, you can still kind of see the image. So I did not drench my paper with the spray paint. I only did it to enhance the color of the image. I saw this tip from a girl here on YouTube. I will try and see if I can find her video, and that way I can link it down below. Once the spray paint was dried, I applied a last thin coat of the crystal clear enamel. And that's how I prepared my image. By all means, you can use a white water slide for this, or you can do the steps that I followed from the girl that I saw. But this tip is perfect if you do not have a white water slide. That's what I noticed. If you have a clear water slide and you want a white background, then you would use the white spray paint. But it's a good trick to have in your book, I guess. This is the crystal clear enamel that I used. This is the only brand that I use for this. I love it. It has worked for me. So once our image is ready, I will try and measure how much I need to cut off from the image. So I'm placing it on my tumbler, and that way I can sort of decide how much of the water slide I want to remove. And remember to cut all of that white outline that was left from the water slide, because since we use the spray paint, then that will be noticeable if you don't remove it. Once we have the image at perfect sizing, we will submerge it into some water. I actually let mine sit for a minute. Since it's a full sheet, I was moving it from one side to another, and I was just making sure that both edges or both sides were getting the water it needed. But I did let it sit for a minute, and as you can see, it's starting to slide off the backing, and that is when it's ready for me to be able to use it. We will wet our tumbler before we apply our water slide. That way, if we see that we need to reposition our water slide, we can do so because it will be sliding around. So as you can see, it's very, very easy to apply your water slide. I started at one side, and as you can see, the backing is just sliding off. So instead of you placing your image like you usually do with this water slide, you're actually putting the image face down, touching the tumbler instead of the other way around. And that way, the backing is on top of the cup. I'm not sure if I'm explaining myself correctly, but you can see it here in the clip. I'm using this scraper to remove as much water as I can, and to make sure you don't have any bubbles. Make sure you take care of them. At this point, don't be afraid of the edge that you can notice where the image starts and where it ends. We will take care of that later on. But right now, I'm just trying to remove as much water as I can. And to speed up the process, I will be using my heat gun, so I can dry as much of that water. Even if I'm drying it with the heat gun, I can notice that there's still water inside the image. So I'm just going back and forth with my fingers and making sure all of that water is getting out of there. After I have done using my heat gun, I will let my cup sit for a few hours before I do anything with it. Once it has dried, I will be using this black paint, black acrylic paint, and I will be just going around the image trying to cover where that starting of the image is. I want to sort of diffuse, if you allow me. I'm trying to diffuse that boarding. So by me applying this black acrylic paint on this cup, once I epoxy it, you won't be able to see it. So it's diffusing it. I'm not trying to touch the color image at all. I'm just trying to apply that acrylic. I'm trying to apply that acrylic on the border. It's a tongue twister. So yes, this is how it looks. It has fully dried. Basically, the steps are apply something, let it dry. I will be using Rainbow Opal. This is one of my favorite glitters. You have to have it in your collection. Rainbow Opal is a super fine additive. You can add a small amount to your epoxy and it will give you that sparkle that you need. If you want a little bit of extra sparkle, then Rainbow Opal is for you. We have a few other additives like diamonds, green opal and red opal. We have a few other ones, but Rainbow Opal and diamonds are my top favorite. You must have it in your collection. So the first layer of epoxy, as you can see, I added some of that Rainbow Opal to it so I can have that shimmer. If you do not like glitter, by all means, skip the step of adding Rainbow Opal, but this girl, she loves her sparkle. So we will apply our epoxy on our entire cup. We will let it spin for 6 hours and then let it sit without spinning for an additional 6 hours before we continue with the next step. And you can already see that the border is not very noticeable with that acrylic paint. After the tumbler has cured, this is how it looks. There is some areas where it needed a little bit more of the epoxy, but I'm not concerned at the moment. I just wanted to show you how sparkly this glitter is. It's beautiful. The second glitter that I will be using, or the second product from our collection, is glow in the dark. It's this powder that I will be adding to my epoxy so we can do the drip. So this is some leftover epoxy that I had from another cup, and you can actually start to see that it's getting a little bit thick. I will be using this glow in the dark powder to color and to give that glow in the dark effect to my epoxy. This powder is very pigmented, and we have a few more colors in our collection. I will leave in the description down below the list of the products that I used if you want to go ahead and check them out. I am using a good amount of my glow in the dark powder because I wasn't sure how much I really needed, but that powder is also helping my epoxy get thick. So I will let it sit for a few minutes until I can see that on the side of my cup, spreading some of that epoxy until I see that it's not dripping as quickly. That's when I will be applying it. So you can see that I have my tumbler in my turner. This is so helpful because I'm just spreading it on the rim, and the cup turner is just helping me move the cup around. So I'm adding a good amount to my cup, and what I'm doing is that I'm moving my cup front and back so it can drip. If you see that the drip is going too quickly, just turn it over and let it sit for a few more seconds, about 10-15 seconds, depending how quickly your drip is moving, and just go back and forth. And at this point, I wanted to add more of that drip, so I added a little bit more. And this is what I'm trying to explain. I'm just flipping the cup over. I want my drip to go to the edge, up to the edge. So I'm just, at this point, you can maneuver your drip as much as you want because it's still not fully cured. So it will have time to even out. Don't be scared that if you're touching it around, and don't be scared that it's going to stay like that. It won't. It's still moving around. There's a new product that I purchased from CC DIY. I will also link it down below. I did not use it here. I didn't have it then when I did the video, but it helps the epoxy cure faster, so you won't have to babysit your drip as much as I did. I did babysit my drip for about 2 hours, just flipping it back and forth. And this is how it turned out once it was fully cured. I'm in love with this cup. I very much loved how it looked. The drip did not turn out as good as I wanted to. I have done a few other cups that the drip is so much prettier, but I feel that this drip is perfect for this cup. The drips sort of look like if they were some Dracula teeth. That's the vibe that it's given me. So it does, combine very well with this cup. As you can see, I applied my second layer of epoxy, and that was it. This is how the cup looks. It sparkles enough for me. I love it. It glows in the dark. The drip glows in the dark. It's so beautiful. And yes, guys, thank you so much for taking this time to watch my videos, to subscribe, to comment, to give me those thumbs up. Thank you so much. I hope you loved this video. And if you did, give me those thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you on our next video. Bye, guys.